ready? It's a great day in Kershaw County. I will point out to members on the council, you have a draft resolution here. Jimmy, is that the one you want everybody to look at? That's correct.
Draft resolution?
There's a resolution. I make the following motion.
I'll do that when you get to it in the
Good.
agenda.
I just pointed out to everybody. And other than that, I think you've got some stuff from the rec department. It's a great day in Kershaw County, all-American county. We've been through snow and ice and earthquakes and pandemics, number 3 or whatever, I can lose count. And then we've had a tornado 2 years ago. What a great team that we continue to move forward as a county. And in spite of that, we had our own governor recognize Kershaw County 3 times last week in the state of the state. First of all, the valor and professionalism that stems from our students in our local high schools. This one in particular, Lugoff Elgin High School, Mr. Connell would be quick to point out he was a wrestler, but he was a sergeant major that won the Medal of Honor, and he was asked to stand by the governor. Secondly, Prestige Farms, with the help of Jeff Burgess back there and Vic Carpenter leading us with investments in industrial parks, brought in $139 million in investment and 300 jobs, and Prestige Farms was asked to stand. And lastly, our own school district, of which we are enormously proud, 10,000 students, wonderful teachers, recognized for laboring on in a way that was exemplary, which means a big word, which means was really great, that demonstrated to the rest of the state how it's done. That's Kershaw County. With that, we've had a rough week. A lot of great leaders in our county have passed away, and in particular, our own administrator has lost a family member. So with that, I would ask you to stand with me and have a moment of silence. Thank you. Amen. I ask you to remain standing for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll lead the invocation, remembering the words in the good book that blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. And with that, I pray to the Heavenly Father that we do adore you and worship you, and we invoke your holy name today and every day, and leading our lives and in our deliberations, so that all that we say, do, and think, all that we embrace, all that we lift up is to your honor and glory, and this we ask in the holy name of your Son, our Savior. And let all the people say, amen.
Amen.
And with that, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our great country. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. With that, Mr. DeBose, can you do the honors? Do we have people signed up for public comments?
Mr. Chairman, no one signed up.
Okay, very good. And so we'll move to the adoption of the agenda. It's at tab, let's see, it's up on the board, and it's the first chart in your electronic books. Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Gardner, a second.
Second.
Second from Mr. Connell. Any discussion? I would have one piece of discussion. At the request of our wonderful Sheriff's Department, we're going to move his agenda item from a new business and move that up very much. I'm going to ask that it be installed and be amended so that we will do it immediately after approval of the minutes. Can we have a motion to amend the agenda?
Make a motion to amend the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Just as I said, the sheriff has got business, and we're delighted that you're able to get out of there and go do the work that we need you to do for our great county, sir. With that, second was Mr. Connell. And with that, we move to a vote.
It was not.
No,
I
Mr.
can do that. It was.
This is Snodgrass. So let me
One
clear
of
out
them.
my ears. I got machine gun ears. All right. And with that, we move to a vote. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. And it's unanimous, and the agenda is amended. And with that, we ask the sheriff to come up. The item that I'll introduce is the acceptance of a state grant for our wonderful SROs. Sheriff, please, sir.
Well, if I can get.
This is gonna take a
Leanne Torres,
motion.
If y'all can come up.
So this is going to take a motion. So can we have a motion to approve the state grant for SROs?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Mrs. Snodgrass, a second?
Second.
All right, I'll give that to Mr. Connell if you don't mind.
Phil.
All right, good. Now, okay, Sheriff, go right ahead.
That was kind of easy. Right into the budget now. This is 2 additional SROs that will complete all of our SROs for, have one in every school. This is a goal that was set out by these ladies here over 3 years ago when they started our Kershaw County Coalition for Safer Schools. They came here and spoke before this council, or the majority of this council, on trying to get an SRO in every school. And then it was kind of a dream, kind of a push forward. We didn't know whether it'd ever be able to be achieved or not, but here we are 3 years later, and we've just completed it with the approval of council on these 2 positions that are 100% funded by the state. Would understand, Doug, this is going to be 2 vehicles also. So they're going all out with it, and this is the first time in history we've had SRO in every school. So it's a real goal. We're glad to be there, and we definitely appreciate these ladies here. We're going to let them speak to council also right now, and we thank them for what they've done.
And identify yourself for everybody in
Okay.
Facebook land as well.
Sure. My name is Leanne Torres. A few years back, I started the Kershaw County Coalition for Safer Schools, later renamed the South Carolina Coalition for Safer Schools. And I came in after having just moved here. I grew up here, but I moved back here because this was the school district I wanted my kids in. And I'm a career changer. I went from pastor's wife and mama only to doing an alternative certification because I wanted to be in our schools too. When I moved back here, I thought, man, there's no other school district I want my kids in, and I would love to work in here because I want to help change from the inside out. And our school district was already great. I just wanted to be a part of that. And so I knew that we had some, my mom's going to make me cry here, some pretty high ambitions when we started this. I knew that how something like this could be funded could also be very challenging. And I know that I came in with a little bark to me as well. But first of all, thank you for everything that you've done. I'm honored to be able to come and talk to you guys about this on this end of things as well. And thank you all for everything that you've done, Jimmy, especially your aggressive support of it from day one.
You have a big bark.
Say again?
Big bark.
Thank you. But I just really appreciate everything that everybody has done to work together to make this happen. And this is a big testament to why I love this county so much. So thank you all very much. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Leanne, can you introduce the other ladies, please?
Yes, so these were my biggest helpers when we started this thing. This is Shelly Fox and my mother, Donnell Powers, and I can't even tell you the work they put in and the dedication they put in to our small part in making this happen. So thank you both so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you just hold for a second? Comments, gentlemen?
I have a question.
Mr. Tucker.
How long is the grant for? And we all know that grants eventually run out, so I'm just curious on how long this is going to last, so we'll know what we're looking at in a few years on what we have
This
to do.
is, there's been no limit on this grant. Each year we put in for them, and we've already put in for next year's. So this will be the year to year Doug puts in for them for the school district. School district has to put in for the money for the, because these are 2 positions of 6 we have total coming from the state. And then we've worked things out with the school district to where they're paying toward the SRO funding. So we've been able to get more through several different means, but this state program has given us 6 altogether, and we look to keep applying each year for those. And
Please do.
Other comments, Mr. Snodgrass?
Sure. Sheriff, so is this from a program, like a new program, or just a grant that's always been there?
it's new.
Okay. Is it a result of maybe some COVID funding or ARPA, or
No, it was
is it
before that.
totally okay?
Yeah, this come before that. This was all from a push from a lot of citizens that wanted SROs in every school, pushed to
Excellent.
It made it to the governor's office, the state funding that's coming out. When they first come out, it's been about, I think 2 years ago when they first come out, they told each county how many they were eligible to apply for. It was 4 for us. So we applied for the 4, we got them. Some counties wasn't as fortunate as us as they couldn't fill the slots that they were available. So once the money was not spent, it kind of started getting spread out to other counties, and now it's, I think DPS is running the funding now. So we applied for 2 more that would have completed us out, and we just got them, so.
Excellent. And I'll finish out with this. Ladies, thank you so much for pushing this. This is really a beautiful picture of how like government, functional government, efficient government, I should say, gets things done. Is citizens get behind something, you pushed it, and you stayed with it, and you guys didn't come in like pointing fingers or whatever, but it was just this aggressive, hey, this is an issue that we need to tackle. And I remember this was a hot issue 3 years ago when we were running, and the answer was all about bringing together a team. Like the school board alone wasn't going to solve it, the county alone wasn't going to solve it, the sheriff wasn't alone going to solve it, but it was all about like coming together. And so I would say thank you so much, because you guys were the glue. I think you guys were the glue that kind of brought this all together so that all of these government entities could work together to make this happen. So thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Other comments? Mr. Jones.
Listen, Leanne and Shelly, y'all burnt my phone up. I can remember those years, a few years back when they were trying to do away with SROs. You were not the sheriff at that time. Well, these moms, Ms. Powers, they hit the roof. And, excuse me, I never thought I would see the day, even though I support it, that we would have an SRO in every school. I was scared to death that we were going to lose it. Yeah, I remember Sammy, Tom, we all stood firm on making sure those SROs were going to stay there. But there was the threat back then of trying to remove some out, but not after you guys got on board. There's no doubt in my mind that this would not have happened if you moms have not have gotten in it, and if we had not had the right sheriff at the right time as well. And so I want to thank you first. You guys made it. We get the easy part. We get to vote on it. You guys went out and made this happen with the sheriff, and thank you so much for what you've done for our children. And this is easy tonight, an easy yes. Thank you so much.
Other comments? Mr.
Jimmy,
Connell.
you forgot the part about it, not an extra penny to the taxpayers of Kershaw County.
There is not an extra penny to the taxpayers'
Nice, Sheriff.
pocketbook.
Nice.
That's OPM, other people's money.
Mr. Connell.
Ladies, great work. Thank you very much. I think this goes to show that whenever citizens get involved, you can sometimes get even more done, because you've heard us and the sheriff say years ago and now that we apply every year for everything that we can get. And here you've gotten involved and we're able to get a little bit more, which is great. I had one follow-up question on the vehicles. That's really interesting, Doug, that they have a vehicle that is associated with this grant. Are there any renewable funds each year with the application, or is it vehicle one time and then we just work it into our fleet maintenance program?
Yeah, it's just a one-time deal, as far as we know now. I mean, the funds could change from year to year. We could get a different governor. A lot of things could change, but as of right now, we're looking at funding 2 vehicles. We asked for the other 4 also, but we're going to take what we can get, and we'll find a vehicle.
We'll take it and we'll put them in the fleet maintenance. Thanks.
Yes.
Good job. Other comments? Well, this has been a pleasure to see y'all again. Thank you for your advocacy for our county, your county.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yeah, Mr. Brazel, go ahead.
Hey, it's more to an SRO than just being a police officer. I've talked with a few of them at length about how they've counseled students, been a friend, been a mentor, as many teachers as well. So I want to thank you for all the work that you put in. It's a big deal when people stop what they're doing, forget about their jobs, and focus on something. This was not easy to do. I didn't follow it, but as I know things are just hard to push through, all the red tape and all the different folks that you have to get on board, I applaud you for what y'all have done. And Lee, thank you for all your support with this as well. It's a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff, thanks for having you over here, and we want to get you back out. But thanks for coming in, and terrific to have you here. What a joy. And with that, I call the question, and we can go to a vote. All those in favor signify. And it's unanimous. Well done. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, ladies. right. All right, let's go back to the agenda. It's up on the board. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. Tab A, page 4 in your electronic books. Can we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve, Mr.
And
Chairman.
Mr. Tucker, second.
Second.
From Mr. Gardner, any discussion on the minutes? Seeing there are none, we move to a vote. All those in favor signify. And it's unanimous and approved. And with that, we move on to public presentation by the Kershaw County Recreation Department. Shane Duncan, please come on up, sir. We're looking forward to this.
Well, I appreciate you guys having us here tonight. What I want to do first, I'm not going to actually be giving a presentation. One of my full-time employees will be doing it because he and Gunnar Cato and Amy Peebles have been very instrumental in all of our special events, and we're going to basically give you guys an update on what we did in this past year, with one being our really big one this past December with the Tinsel Trail. The first thing I want to do is, if I could get everybody from Parks and Recreation to come on up, just come right up here on the side for me, please. We have to do this just so the people in Facebook land can see what's going on.
Yeah.
Now, I have such a big group with me today because I've brought most of my maintenance crew with me. And the reason for that is these guys don't often look for recognition. They're the front line who's always out there getting their hands dirty and doing all these things, keeping these parks look nice, and actually getting those light displays and all that stuff ready for the Tinsel Trail. And I just felt like it was fitting to go ahead and recognize these guys. We have, from my right to my left, we have Scott Holly. He is our maintenance superintendent. Paul Witt, he's part of the maintenance staff. James Davis is part of the maintenance staff. Willie Peebles is our crew chief. We have Glenn Cobb, who is actually our park ranger, and Jacob Neal, who works on the maintenance staff. So all these guys had a part in all those special events and the getting that Tinsel Trail prepared. Now, some had different parts because some spent more time than others out there, but mainly our park ranger, Glenn, he spends a lot of time out there. He was the one going out there turning those lights on and off and getting fussed at by the community for turning them off too early.
Right.
So he talked to a lot of people during the month of December. All right, but I just like I said, I just want to recognize these guys and I appreciate what they do, and I think that the rest of the county should feel the same way because they put a lot of hard, sweat and tears into that stuff, and we have some very, very, very talented people on our maintenance staff. Those gas pits that you see out at the River Park, these guys built them. Those the wooden fencing around the parking areas, these guys built it, okay? And we'll have more to come in the future, and it's great to have a staff on hand who can do those type of things and to where we don't have to bid it out to someone else. So appreciate you guys. And
Turn around so Facebook land can see you. Y'all face the camera,
Face the
wherever
camera.
that is.
It's
up there.
It's up there.
up there, right up there, yeah. So what I'll do is I'll let these guys go because a couple of them have something to do. Glenn is actually on his way back out to the river to start shutting that down. So I'll let these guys leave, and we'll have Gunnar Cato come up with the presentation.
Thank you very much.
All right, let me move this down since I'm a little bit vertically challenged compared to Shane. So as Shane mentioned, I'm going to go over the 2021 special events. This is kind of an overview of what fall consisted for us at the Wateree River Veterans Park. So our first event that we had, October 2nd, it was our Touch a Truck event. This was actually the same day that we had opening day jamborees for soccer and football. So it was very busy for Parks and Rec on October 2nd. So these are some pictures. Every event, you're going to have some pictures that you can see. But we had 1,200 attendees for the Touch a Truck event. We had 18 vendors, which totaled 45 vehicles. And we partnered with the Camden Junior Welfare League. They help with parking. They help with the logistics coming in and out of the park because with 1,200 people attending, it was pretty hectic at times. So going to the next event, we have our Jack-o'-lantern Jamboree, which was our Halloween event. Last year, they did a Halloween movie when I came in, I kind of wanted to make this more of an event, like our Halloween trail, like let's put all of it together. So we had our trick or treat trail, we had a costume contest, a drive-in movie, and we also had food trucks there. This was October 30th. So October was a very busy month for us. We go from October 2nd to our Touch a Truck event to the 30th with our Halloween event. So with the 1,200 attendees at the Touch a Truck, we were like, that's max. That's a really good number for Kershaw County. Our Halloween event, we had 1,400.
Wow.
We had 17 vendors, and I can confidently say that all 17 vendors ran out of candy. So that's something that we'll have to do better next year. More vendors, more candy. And this was sponsored by Mid-Carolina Credit Union. As you see on this slide, we have some pictures. It was a real fun event, family-oriented. We spaced everyone out so you're able to social distance. As Mr. Burns said, we're on part 3 of the pandemic. So we're trying to do everything that we can to make it safe and fun, family-oriented for everyone in the county. So then going to the next event, this was the culminating event of 2021. Our Tinsel Trail. This is a drone shot of the trail, and this is near and dear to my heart because I started this job January 11th of 2021. So I've been there just over a year. But in my interview with Shane and Jeremy, they kind of brought up, what would you do different if you got hired at this job? And the first thing that came to my mind was I saw this event in Huntsville, Alabama. They've been doing it for 13 years. And I was like, I love Christmas, I love lights, and I love Kershaw County. Let's do a Tinsel Trail. Next thing I know, Shane gives me a call next week, and he's like, hey, you got the job. You start January 11th. Cool, okay? Now we have to start doing this. It sounded really good in the interview, but I had no idea how hard this would be. For example, the whole premise of the Tinsel Trail is getting Christmas trees and having people sponsor this Christmas tree with a company. So we had FJ Rabin, and they put toilet paper and poop emojis all over the Christmas tree. Okay, we had a lot of fun designs out there, but little did I know that there's a 5-year waiting list for Christmas trees. 5 years. If you want real Christmas trees in bulk, you gotta wait 5 years. So once I got that phone call, I was like, hey, Shane, Tinsel Trail might be happening in 2026. But there's this woman, her name is Kat. She's up in Tennessee. And she probably gave me trees because I was very annoying to her. Every day, hey, Kat, how are you doing? Good morning. Any trees available? I'm put on the waiting list. Got a call in July saying, hey, Gunner, we have 50 trees for you, okay? Problem is, we can't ship it to you. You got to come and pick them up. Oh. Road trip. I went with Amy Peebles. 1-day road trip. We left off at 7 o'clock and got back at about 7 o'clock. Right. 12 hours. We loaded them ourselves. It was great. We might have to do it again. But this time we'll make it a 2-day event. So as I was saying, I got this idea from Huntsville. And whenever I got in office, January 11th of this year, how do I do this? How do I go about making the Tinsel Trail? Huntsville, like I said, they're the pinnacle. They're what you want to be in a Tinsel Trail. They have about 350 trees. They have a lot of people. It's America's event. A lot of people go there. It's real big tourism for Huntsville. So I reach out to Chad Emerson, as you see, CEO and president of Downtown Huntsville, who puts on this event. No, don't hear anything from him. No phone calls, no text messages, no email. He said this at their tree lighting ceremony. He said, we have a lot of people calling, asking questions, and trying to imitate us, but no one can do it like Huntsville. So I'm a very, very competitive person. And just hearing how he's going to ghost us at little old Kershaw County. So this is, I want Chad to know, this is our first year, but we're coming. We're coming for Chad's spot, okay? So that's just a little motivation. So to kind of see how big the Tinsel Trail was for us, we go to community engagement. I consider this a soft opening for year one because we didn't market it, we didn't have a website or anything like that. The only way was word of mouth and Facebook, our social media page. So in order to realize how big December was for us, you have to look at the previous months. So from August to November, 4 months, We did 30 posts on our Kershaw County Parks and Rec Facebook page. We had 44,582 page reach. That's your views on your posts. That is an average of 1,486 views per post. Cool. That's pretty good. I like it. The major events during this 4-month span, Touch a Truck. As I mentioned, 1,200 attendees. Halloween event, 1,400 attendees. We had our Bart Park grand opening. And we had the start of basketball registration, which is pretty hectic for us. So now we go to December. 1 month versus 4 months. We had 18 posts in December. 83,126 page reach, views on posts, an average of 4,618. Our major events during this 1 month span, Tinsel Trail. That's it, no more. So obviously, let's compare them. So if you look at August, November, what you see in red is the greater than. August, November, 4 months, obviously you're gonna have more posts. But then you look at December. We almost 2 times the total amount of views on our posts. We 3 times the views per post, and we gained 271 followers in that 30-day span, which is a 243% increase on our average of only gaining 79 followers per month. This is some pictures of the Tinsel Trail. And like I said, this event spanned from November 30th to January 2nd. And it couldn't have been possible without everyone that you saw up here and more. From all of our full-time staff, even Jeremy Murphy, Mandy Gilbert, our receptionist, and Tina Eddings, our finance specialist, to everyone on our maintenance department. Everyone played a role in making this great for Kershaw County. And like I said, I love lights, I love Christmas, I love Kershaw County, and I love smiles. And that's what we're in the business of recreation doing. We want to make our county smile, and we want to bring stuff to the community that they haven't had before. So moving forward, this is the military in me, sustains and improves. Our priority list moving forward to make it even better in 2022, more trees. If I have to take 2 trucks up there to Tennessee, I'm going to go get more trees.
I'll go with you.
I like it. I like it. Thank you.
I got you.
We only have about 1/3 of the track wired with electricity. We want to do the 2/3. We want the whole trail to be as much lights as possible. But that's not only for our Tinsel Trail event. Electricity and all these things, priority list, it helps with the park's well-being overall. The Touch a Trucks, the Halloween events, Christmas events, Easter events that we're going to put on this year, summer events, drive-in movies, everything that we do at that park. It's all benefited from this priority list, which is a restroom facility, a mobile restroom facility. There's one in Kershaw County right now, and it's the city of Camden. With these events, we had the restroom facility for our Halloween event, which was awesome. Touch a Truck, 1,200 people, we had porta potties, 2. December, porta potties for the entire Tinsel Trail, 2. Another exit and entrance, logistics. We had no idea how big of a hit this park and these events would be. So it gets pretty hectic out there on Highway 1. Traffic backed up, so we need to work with the sheriff's department, get some stuff out there. But another exit and entrance to make it light years beyond what it is right now. Lighting, the park's very dark, so I'd like to light it up. Light poles, it allows us to extend our hours, because currently 6 o'clock, park's closed right now, which we have to lock up the park, and the people in the community can't utilize the park. So if we get the lighting, more people can use it. People are just coming home right now from Columbia, because that's where a lot of people live. So lighting is huge for us. Seasonal workers, and obviously more displays, more lights, more happiness, more smiles, more pictures. So that's kind of it. That's what I wanted to go over. If y'all have anything, any questions, comments, or concerns, we're here to take them.
Yeah, Mr. Connell.
How old are you now?
I'm 23 years old.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Nice.
So I what's funny about this is when I was a young kid and coming up through high school, your mom was slapping me around trying to teach me the right lessons and keep me in the right way. And
She's still slapping me around.
Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, well, then hopefully you'll turn out okay, because her lessons hopefully worked well with me. One of the concerns I've had since I graduated high school was brain drain. Y'all have heard me talk about it many times in Kershaw County, that we don't have jobs locally enough to attract talent and super educated and people who have great moral compasses back to the area. It's so refreshing to see that theory I have, just the bubble pop tonight, that, we haven't experienced brain drain. We have somebody great who's working here at the county, and I'm so happy that you're here. One of the things that I wanted to mention is, thank you, council, for your support a few years ago whenever we purchased this park. It turns out that I think it's one of the best ideas we ever made in recreation. And I appreciate y'all's support whenever we made that motion initially. Something else that stuck out to me is that this particular Tinsel Trail event, incidentally or not, is the longest running Christmas and thus Christ-focused, for me, event that the county's ever put on. And I think that really says something about our community. I appreciate y'all's effort, the ingenuity, dialing in a modern age to social media and maximizing that. It's just great. And I think this is a really, not only is it centrally located in the county, which is great, but now people have a reason to go and enjoy themselves and participate. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Other comments? Mr. Jones?
When did you grow up? Because, it just seems like yesterday you were.
I haven't hit the growth spurt yet.
How was your mom and dad?
Everyone's doing well.
Listen, you know that I am your mom's favorite, not Sammy Tucker. She said I can't tell anybody that, so don't tell anybody.
We're going to fight.
Well, first off, Gunnar, I just want to tell you I'm very proud of you. Very proud of you. I've watched you grow up. We did a little karate together when you were smaller, and you
Yes,
called
sir.
me Batman. You probably called me a few other things lately, but listen, thank you for all you've done, and I love your enthusiasm, and I think you're going to do well with Kershaw County. Hope we don't lose you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Russell, please.
Obviously everybody's known you since you were like 6. I've never met you until tonight that I can recall. I love your enthusiasm. It makes me so happy. You've absolutely put a smile on my face. You care, you're into your job, you care about your job, and obviously you're good at your job. I hope that you're able to do things more in depth with the recreation department. And we really look forward to seeing you grow in your position. And congratulations on the Tinsel Trail. Everybody I talked to absolutely loved it. Not a negative word. So congratulations and thank you for everything you've done.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Tucker, I saw your hand.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Chairman. I want to say, first of all, thank you, Shane and Amy, for your leadership and running the recreation department and bringing on good people. I can remember running into Shane and asking him how his interviews were going for this position, Gunner, and he said, man, I think I got the right one. You're just going to have to wait and see. He's young and he's energetic. You never lied, man. You have your mother's spirit. You are full of it, and it's a good thing, and it is a good thing. So stay energetic, stay energized, and continue to bring thought-provoking and innovative things back to Kershaw County, because that's what we need as folks like me and the one to my left here. Old farts need younger people to step up and bring into their ideas. So thank all of you. Thank the rec department as a whole. And I just want to say, keep up the good work.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Snodgrass.
Sure. Gunnar, do you enjoy working for Kershaw County?
I love it.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for just having just a contagious spirit and a work ethic. Shane, thank you so much for just letting him loose and having at it. This was a great event. My family, we were able to enjoy the trail, and I was super impressed with the design, with the flow, how it looked. I loved your innovation. You just didn't have lights out there, but I'm a part of the Kiwanis Club, and you reached out to us, and we did a story walk out there. And even that showed your ambition. So we kind of went into it thinking, okay, we'll do a story walk, and then he emails and says, hey, I need 5 story walks. We're like, all right, we'll keep up with you. Yeah, we got you. And so love that. I love that picture. I don't know if Danny can go back to it, but that drone picture of the park. Oh yeah, you got the remote. Man, did you guys see that? Mm-hmm. Like, I think a couple of years ago when we were having this, even before I got on council, we were having this great debate about this piece of property. I think, I appreciate the ones who saw that vision, who saw that property that had just sat there for so many years. But there were people who they envisioned that. And when I saw that drone footage, I mean, it just gives me excitement because not everyone agrees with this, and it's okay. They can be wrong, but recreation is a part of the circle that adds to a thriving community, and even is a part of what Jeff's job is. So when Shane does his job and does it well, and you do your job well, it makes Jeff's job a whole lot easier when it comes to attracting economic development because they see community life like this. I was out there at the Tinsel Trail. Man, people were smiling. It was just this great spirit. It's Christmas. And so thank you so much. And Shane, tell your maintenance guys, great job. I know a lot of that work they did, the parking they did, the things they built, that was a lot of in-house. And so a lot of talent out there. I'm looking forward to where you take this. And let's get your guy like a Wi-Fi or a timer switch so he didn't have to go turn the lights off on his own. And so I think we can work that out. We can work that out. Good job, Gunner. This is awesome.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Other comments? Mr. Gardner?
Yeah, Gunner, I told you what a great job this was. We made several trips out there, and it was just such an awesome sight, and especially an awesome sight from the bridge. When you drive by, it was just unbelievable what it looked like, and just heard so many comments. And I look forward to the next idea that you borrow from somebody else, and that's perfectly okay because that's what we do. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just take somebody else's wheel.
Borrow and do it better.
That's right. and that's what we do. But you go back and you look at Touch Truck and all the other things that the rec department does. I mean, those are, and I don't know if we stole that somewhere, but it's okay if we did. But it's a great event. It's a great event for the community, for the county, for the kids, just like this was right here. And again, I look forward to the next one that we put together. But just a great job, and look forward to the Easter and all the other things you got coming along. So
Yes, sir. And a special thank you to you for the T-shirts and making them.
Thank you for the hard work that you do. So
Yeah, I just want to point out that I've watched since your arrival the gray hair accumulate in Shane Duncan's hair. Welcome. I'm going to cut it short because we're a little over time, but boy, this has been fun. Let's not forget the 50 sponsors that came from all over the county to sponsor those trees. And also, now you get on to winter sports, Shane. Let's see you win your next accolade. With that, thank you, gentlemen. Let's have a round of applause.
Thank y'all.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to let you guys know there were 3 maintenance guys that were not able to come tonight. I just want to mention their names. William Campbell. Who else was it? Blank Stevens. And there was one more. I'm sorry. His name is slipping. Jody Mims. Okay? Those 3 guys were not able to come, but they had a huge part in it too. And the last thing I'll point out is there's a little background history with Gunner. We originally hired him as an athletics guy. Well, we lost another athletics guy. When we lost him, we quickly decided that we needed to create a program superintendent position just for him.
Okay.
And he's already killing it. So I think right now, best hire I've made so far.
Amen.
And you can see.
Right.
And they just do a great job of making the recreation department look good, and it kind of makes me look good as well. But I have to make sure they get all the credit. Okay.
Amen.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Shane.
Amen.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
just for the record, there might be a little bit more gray there, but he's looking real good because he's still got his hair.
Yeah.
I'm envious.
Yeah. Army strong, Kershaw strong. Thank you very much, everybody. That was just great. We move now to the next item on the agenda, if you'll bring that up, and it's a proclamation for Black History Month. We've just completed Martin Luther King birthday. It's at tab B, page 6 in your electronic books. I propose to read and then take a motion. A proclamation honoring National Black History Month, whereas Kershaw County celebrates February as National Black History Month to recognize the vast contributions of Black African Americans in our nation's history and identity, and whereas Black History Month grew out of the establishment in 1926 during the second week of February of Negro History Week by Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. This week was chosen because it coincides with the birthday of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. And whereas Black History Month in the United States was first proposed by Black educators and the Black United Students at Kent State University in February of 1969, 6 years later, it was being celebrated all across the country. President Gerald Ford recognized Black History Month in 1976 during the celebration of the U.S. bicentennial. He urged Americans to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. And whereas 2022 national theme for the observance of Black history, health, and wellness, and whereas Kershaw County Council is deeply committed to equity and inclusion, this stance includes the cultural and racial affirmation of all our citizens and community members who identify as Black African American. And whereas Kershaw County Council strives to close the equity and outcome gaps for Black African American citizens throughout policies and practices that reflect the experiences of Black African American citizens, ensure greater access and opportunity, and honor history, heritage, and contributions. And whereas Kershaw County Council is committed to Vision 2030 to make the county the great place to live, work, worship, play, and raise our families, and where our growing, vibrant, and historic communities nourish our culture and our vitality. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Kershaw County Council hereby proclaims the month of February as Black History Month. With that, let's take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the proclamation for Black History Month.
Mr. Tucker gives a first, a second.
Second.
Mr. Gardner, second. Any discussion? Mr. Tucker?
Mr. Chairman and council members, I would just like to say, because I happened to see them, they've been here the last three meetings, but I don't think they thought I saw them. You actually have two members from the NAACP Executive Committee, and one of them is an officer that I like to recognize. Ms. Hessie B. Peterkin is sitting back there. Will you stand, please, ma'am? That's the county's chair. And then Ms. Martha Robinson, who is on the Executive Committee. And Ms. Bracy is a member of the NAACP. Say again? Sharon, I'm sorry, as well. So I would like to recognize those ladies who are here tonight.
Thank you for coming.
Mhm.
All right, Mr. Jones over here.
As I did last year, tonight I'm going to dedicate my vote for this for my brother George and Evelyn Gibson in honor of them. And I just wanted to say that publicly.
Thank you. And other comments?
Ms. Gibson was my ninth
Yeah.
grade science teacher. I thought I claimed her. She's awesome and has impacted my life in every way.
Great. Anything else? Okay, no further discussion. Thank you, ladies, for coming. It's great to see you again. And it was a great celebration at the birthday. With that, we move to a vote. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. And it's unanimous. Thank you, Mary. That was well done. I appreciate your work on that. With that, we move to the next item, a series of ordinances. We have Danny here in place of Vic, and I'll try to get through the ordinance headlines, and then we'll take a motion. The first item is item 1 under ordinances. It's at tab C, page 7 in your electronic books. I'll read a bit of the headlines and then take the motion. Second reading of an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax by and between Kershaw County Council and Project Panel with respect to certain economic development property in the county, whereby such property will be subject to payments in lieu of taxes. With that headline, can we have a motion to
Make a
approve?
motion.
To approve, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Tucker, a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Snodgrass. Any further discussion needed by you, Jeff? Do you want to talk about that, Jeff Burgess? come on up because you may have a question or two.
Good evening, Chairman, members of council. Project Panel is proposing to invest $7.9 million and create 80 new jobs in the county for Kershaw, and that it will have an average hourly wage of $20 an hour.
Good gosh. Other questions, please, starting with Mr. Snodgrass. Go ahead.
Sammy, you-
No, you,
Oh, did this company, do they have any vendors or connections with other companies, like as far as providing their product?
Well, they actually work in residential, commercial, and industrial with their
Okay.
products, so they're pretty broad. They have a broad spectrum that they work on. They're locating here. It's a good location based on the growth, to be perfectly honest, not just along 20, but along 77. So this puts them in a prime position to take advantage of that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep, other questions? Mr. Jones?
I have a comment. I've been here 16 years, and I'm going to tell you something. Mr. Jeff, you're a shaker and a mover. Do you ever slow down?
I don't have time.
Because since you've
Please
been
don't.
here, a lot of things have started happening. And I want to thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Other comments? And the
Thank
good news keep coming. Thank you, Jeff. We got a lot of work to do, and we'll keep doing it. I look forward to hearing from you on that other project. With that, we move to a series of votes, unless you have other comments. Seeing none, let me move to a vote. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. And it moves on to a third reading unanimously. Mary, thank you very much, Jeff. Item number 2 is a second reading of an ordinance of the County Council of Kershaw County to amend the zoning map. It's at tab D. It's up on the screen. And for your reference, it's in page 38, electronic book, and thereafter. I'll read the whole thing. We read it last time. Second reading of an ordinance of the County Council of Kershaw County to amend the official zoning map designation for 86 acres of land. And the tax parcel is given in some detail. 1 acre future utility parcel remaining for an existing cell tower on the same land. With that, and from RD2 to RD15.
R15.
Say again?
R15.
Yeah, R15, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Conley is here if we need it. Can we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve for discussion.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Second to approve, to discuss, and that's from Mr. Snodgrass. Ben, do you want to lead off?
Sure. So typically on first reading, unless there's absolute clear opposition from the community for valid reasons, you usually have it go through. So it's gone through on first reading, and in part, I think that's because there were a few loose ends that need to be tied up, like there was whether or not the survey had been completed on the cell tower. Do we know if that's been done? That has been done? And forgive me if I just didn't see it in the packet. I don't see it in the packets. But at any rate, it sounds like it has been completed. I would like to see it if this ends up making it to a third reading. And then between now and last time, there's been a lot of discussion in the community about growth, perhaps too much growth, people's feelings about traffic in the area. This area is near another large development, I'll call it, kind of down from Pelican Snowballs. They're proximate at any rate. And so the school district was another question that I had last time and was interested in hearing back from them. Did we get any direction or contact from the school district about thresholds they're reaching for elementary schools or anything like that? I know Vic's not here. God bless him. His brother just passed away, so.
Right.
Well, I can speak to that when I get to my comments. The
Okay.
answer is
Well,
yes.
those are the questions that I had and some of the concerns that have been voiced to me with several calls since last meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I'll reserve my comments to the end. Go ahead. Other comments, Mr. Snodgrass?
Thank you. This question probably for Mr. Conley. So is it for sure that there will be septic system, or is there still them room to get on the sewer system? Excuse me.
Sure. At this point in time, there's not a sewer line anywhere in reasonable length to this location.
And the reason I ask is because why this is favorable to me at this point is because they're going to be, if there's a septic situation, that means they got to be half-acre lots, which, to me, helps me lean towards supporting this, as well as, according to the memo that you'd sent out to council, Looks like home values are estimated to be 350,000 or higher. So that tells me that this isn't, just kind of your run-of-the-mill type of structure, but there's going to be some quality to that as well. Is that your understanding?
I mean, that's my understanding, but I mean, home prices right now are fairly higher than they have historically been. I mean, the developer's here. You're more than welcome to ask them questions, and I can answer any questions on the zoning or the land development side. But if you have specific zoning or specific questions, I would reference it to them. And I'll always hesitant to remember that when you rezone a parcel, they can do anything that is permitted within that zoning district.
Right.
They're not tied to the memo they sent us. They're not tied to what the suggestion was. So usually that's why we don't really traditionally add that in there. It could change hands tomorrow. It could be in their hands for 10 or 20 years. There's a lot of speculation involved in that.
Correct.
Until they start bringing actual development plans to us to go through the review process. So
What the development plan, the next step would be for them to submit an actual development plan or not, because this is the existing.
if it gets, whether it was rezoning or not, and they wanted to put together a development, they would have to start interacting with us for a development plan.
Which that would include, would that then include traffic study, or is that already been done?
No, well, what we've gotten from years of working with the Planning Commission, we traditionally do not allow any large development to go to Planning Commission without some sort of traffic study done. Now, a full traffic management plan usually, or a traffic improvement plan usually comes from DOT if it goes onto a state road. We usually, if we get in the higher subdivisions, we ask for a traffic management plan. But we usually don't let it go to Planning Commission without any sort of traffic indication or studies done.
So that's been done, or that would be the next logical step if they submit a development plan.
So when they come through and they start giving us a sketch plan and start doing sketch plan review, that's when all the impacts assessments are sent out to all the utilities, the providers, the sheriff's department, the EMS, school district, all those get them letters notifying them of what the development is coming up, and if they have any comments, they have 10 to 15 days to submit comments back to us, and all of that is a part of the packet that goes to Planning Commission, including a traffic study, anything from DOT that needs to be done, anything from DHEC, any of those things are all part of the Planning Commission packet that goes.
Thank you, sir.
Very thorough. Thank you, Mike. Other comments? Two of you had questions, and I said I would answer what I knew. Ben, you asked about schools, and of course you did too, Russell, when we met earlier today. And secondly, roads, in addition to crowding, in addition to sewer, in addition to strained services. Anybody who's been out any day to the Elgin solid waste point knows that the growth is exceeding the capability there. Everybody who's been out there to see the density out there knows that our fire department, which we have now gone, fortunately, to more full-time employees at a hub at Blaney and so on and so forth, shows that there is a growing pressure in that part of the county. With that preamble, let me answer your questions. First of all, Vision 2030, which was approved unanimously by this body back in December, and approved unanimously by every elected body in the county to include all three municipalities, and approved also by every appointed body in the county, has forced us to deal with the census. And for those of you who have copies of Vision 2030, go to page 6. And there is a graphic of the growth that we as a county can begin to expect and express in terms of resources. So to answer your questions, yes, Vision 2030 forces us to think about what do we do now and what do we do later. And that's a difficult judgment when you take apart the numbers that the census and the growth and the tremendous workload that Mike is enduring, approving houses, commercial areas, and housing areas. To Ben's answer, yes, I've talked to the school. and talked to Shane and to his chairman at the school board. I've talked to a number of school board members, and growth is very much on their mind. There is a sentence in the education goals inside of Vision 2030 that the school board asked us to put in there, that's in there, to address what future facilities they will need. So I ask us to pay attention to that. Secondly, on roads, to Russell's point and to the point that Mr. Snodgrass raised, we have all been frustrated with the roads in West Wateree. And with Ben's help and that of Mayor Emmons, we did a study over there that landed flat as a pancake because we got no resources out of Richland County and Columbia. I will pass out to you again a copy of the West Wateree Road study and our various efforts to try to get resources. But let me just summarize that by saying, and this will be my last comment, is we got a lot of work to do. And I think we're just in the nick of time to get after growth. If not, in some cases, maybe a little late. But we have been working these issues steadfastly, and I think it's time for another focus on growth. Mr. Tucker was our chairman of a ad hoc committee that Mr. DeBose said I was authorized as chairman to set up. And I propose that the next time we meet, we have a short strategic discussion on a memo that I would like to publish to set up another ad hoc group. I do that at the request of the school district who asked that we do that, Ben, to your question. That's a tough question. It's a $64,000 question. How do we take care of our kids? But then eventually we need to address everything else that's associated with the growth in the western part of the county. So with that, I will soon give you all a draft to look at, and we'll chat about it. And then I've got to coordinate it with the school. Any further discussion? Yeah, Mr. Jones, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council. Just for some clarification, last year I did not vote for 2030. This year I reluctantly voted for 2030. And 2030 is not the reason I'm going to vote the way I vote tonight. I've gone out and done my own research and looked at some things, and so my vote will be coming from that, not from 2030. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brazel, please.
So I'm reading this memo that we received about the developer's intention. The intention is to develop these into bigger lots as a residential subdivision.
I think everybody has a copy, right, Russell?
Yeah, I'm going to read it just
Yeah, go ahead.
for the record, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
We are partnering with a local builder on this project. Can we hear more about this while you guys are here? Would you mind? Can we have them speak
Yeah,
up
who are they?
on this?
Can you identify them?
The
I can't
developer?
see behind the mask. Okay, come on up, please. Yeah, you can leave the mask on if you want. And identify yourself, please, sir.
You're fine either way. You're fine with it off. If you cough, we won't run.
Okay, my name's Chris Seeby, so thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Which questions can I answer for you?
Mary, did you get his name and contact number? Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, Russell.
So, your intention is to work with the local builder. What local builders are you planning on working with?
Stanley Martin will partner with us on this project.
Now, where is Stanley Martin from?
Their office is in Lexington, Columbia area.
So that's their home office?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just wasn't familiar with them, and I saw that there was a Stanley Martin in Virginia. Are they a national home builder?
I think they're a southeastern based, I believe, but they used to be Essex.
Oh, okay. Used to be Essex. I got you. So I think they originated out of Greenville and then got bought out. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Just trying to figure out who's doing what. And we have, so here's the concern. We have, I think it's 4 major subdivisions in the heart of Lugoff, and we've had a lot of people reach out to us regarding growth and overwhelming growth and coming too fast, too hard. I've been around home building all my life. It's, it creates jobs, a very important part of a community. But looking at it from a community standpoint, it is concerning. It seems like Kershaw County's targeted And my fear is that we're going to turn into Lexington. And nothing against Lexington, but with growth comes issues. And how do we mitigate this? How do we work through this? I don't know that we're going to keep everyone happy. And I don't know that that's my job, but I just want to make sure that what we're doing is sensible density. I just want to make sure it's the right fit for Kershaw County. So if anybody else has any questions for the gentleman, I'll yield my time. Thank you.
Other comments? Thank you very much for coming all this way. Mr. Snodgrass.
Sure. Are you able to speak on the style of house that would be built? I mean, as far as raised slab, crawl space, hardy plank, or are you not there yet to be able to say what that's?
It would be a bit speculative, but we're fairly confident. I can tell you that it's most likely going to be slab. It's going to have hardy plank, and it's going to have brick. And there'll be...
So not raised slab, just slab?
Just a slab.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So the intention is for the larger lots. The intention in looking at the county's growth plan is it would be congruent with what's nearby. And so you guys have already approved a change in zoning in a area just adjacent to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we thought that we were helping accomplish the county's vision for that area in particular.
Thank you.
Pond is obviously a nice feature.
Sure.
It'll give us bigger lots and it'll give us some pond view lots, which are pretty appealing to folks moving to your area.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Other comments? Mr. Gardner.
Yeah, nothing specific here, but, my problem and our problem, I think, is the fact that the decisions we make today affects us this year, next year, 2 years, 5 years, and so on. So I think it's hard for us looking at all situations, and I won't be supporting this because of the service issue, the school issue, and I said 2 or 3 years ago that I would not support any rezoning that would allow more housing, and I said that several years ago, and I'm going to stand by that. But that's nothing personal. That's just the way I look at it. But it's going to affect our school district, building more schools. You build a school now for $50 million, $100 million, and guess who gets to pay for it? Our taxpayers do. And I just don't think right now that we have enough information, and I think that's one reason the chairman's going to do an ad hoc committee, is that we're going to have to look at this long and hard, and not only this one, but others that come after this one, so that we've got better answers for our highways, our schools, and all the things that are affecting Kershaw County. And I'm not prepared to make that decision and move this forward based on what I don't know. I have no crystal ball here to tell us where we're going to be. If I did, I could give you a better answer. But because of what we don't know, I can't support this. Thank you.
Comments? Once again, back to one of my key issues, which is roads. And the issue in Vision 2030 is, whether you like it or not, we got to plan ahead, and we got to plan for what we need to do now and what we do later. And much of the strain on this council, on all the systems we've just heard about, from Ben in the schools, from David Snodgrass and Russell on roads, and all those other things, are a result of strain on a system. And when you don't react to strain, you break. And we as a council have strain, and that's known as growth. It's on page 6 of Vision 2030. Look at it, the numbers are there. And I just went out and did a reconnaissance. I'm a cavalry officer. I like to walk in muddy places, and I did the whole place. And Western Watts Hill Road is very unsuitable to any traffic, even right now. Before you put in additional houses, it will not be suitable, okay? I've been out there, walked it. So with that, I want the people of the county, but I also want our contractors to know that we're listening to them and giving you a construct where you can be successful as citizens and as contractors as well. And there's a list of things that need to be done now and done in the future, and I don't know what they are, but we need to meet as a group and take the construct of what we voted on in December and act like grown-ups and address this problem without emotion in a dispassionate, objective way that we've all been trained since first grade to look at a tough problem and work it together. We hear you, school district, and we hear you, the people of West Wateree. With that, I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the motion? I'm sorry, Mr. Tucker.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I'm raising my hand here, maybe not high enough. This is actually directed to my colleagues up here. We spoke last year in the budget cycle about impact fees and how this can help us. I know that's a touchy situation with some of you, and I'm just going to be real political with this. I'm the only Democrat sitting up here, so everybody thinks I'm the only one likes to raise taxes. I don't like to raise taxes, but I like to do responsible things. And the only way you're going to be able to answer these questions in a responsible way, as far as I'm concerned, your schools, your law enforcement, your public works, your hospital, your EMS, and your fire, is you bring that new development in with impact fees so they can share the cost of the growth. If not, you're going to kill your local taxpayers trying to keep up. Other counties and other municipalities does it because of a reason of them not getting behind the 8 ball when it comes down to the citizens that are already there, that like the quality of life that they live and do not want to have all the burden put back on them. So I say that because I am ready to address that this budget cycle so we can make a decision on whether we are interested or not. But Mr. Gardner said something that's very important. What we do today is not only going to affect us tomorrow, but when I'm long gone and dead and in heaven, years ahead. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. With that, I'm ready to call the question. Ben, you have one last comment.
Yeah, just one last thing. Mr. Gardner's point was really interesting about perhaps needing more information. I did hear that the school district's going to do a study in the spring based on the last census on where they're going to need elementary schools. So far, they're thinking in between Blaney and Wateree, which this would definitely impact that area. So it might be useful to have that information.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. The school district asked us to chair it and co-chair it like we did the last time, Ben, so the school district would be a part of that.
The other part of the comment was I asked what the cost of elementary school is, and it's about $25 million right now. And so that, school districts don't save up those amounts to pay for it in cash. They'd be coming before this council for millage to support a bond, typically. And so you're looking at a tax increase if the growth continues the way it's going.
And we shall see. That's why we have to do this collaborative effort, and that's why Mr. Robbins, Dr. Robbins, and Dr. Smith asked us to do that together, and we'll get back to that. Calling the question now, we're ready to vote on the motion. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. And those opposed, so signify. And it's unanimous. Thank you, sir, for coming that distance, and the motion fails. And with that, we move to the next item, which is new business. We've already covered the state grant of the SROs very favorably. And secondly, I turn now to an appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals. It's at tab F, page 56. I turn to Mr. Brazel to make a motion.
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Cook Young to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Do we have a second from, who's that, Ben? No, it's Jimmy. Discussion. Any discussion?
I have,
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Cook's a great guy. It's unfortunate right now. He's at home sick. I think he's dealing with COVID. Great guy, knowledgeable, loves his community, wants to do the right thing, wants to help people work through problems and solve problems. And I know him well enough to know he's a problem solver and an all-around great guy. So I hope that I can gain my colleagues' support in appointing him to this board. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to speak as to what I know about him and what he's capable of doing. And we can put you in touch as well.
Okay, other comments? Jimmy, I think you had.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I second everything my colleague just said about Cook Young. I haven't known him as long as Russell has, but I tell you, he's a fine man, and I'm proud to cast my vote for him tonight, Russell.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting him on there.
Mr. Tucker, over here.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and my colleagues. I just want to say that Cook is not only a good, fine man, but he's a great team player. I've been knowing Cook all his life because we grew up together and played a lot of ball together. And Cook, he puts his heart in everything. He's a local homegrown young man from these parts of the counties. And I know he would bring value and a lot of hard work to that board. Thank you.
Other comments? Yeah, he is a great guy, and he lives in a great house, right, Russell? My old house. Yes, with that, I call the question, and we're ready to vote. All those in favor, so signify. And let him sleep tonight, but please tell him, Mary, he was unanimously approved. Thank you very much, Cook, and thank you, Russell, for bringing his name forward.
Yes, sir.
I remind you all, we still have more yet to do, and Mary is working diligently to line up a slate for us. Mary, we couldn't do it without you. We have moved to the third item under new business, an inquiry regarding planning and zoning. There is no attachment, but I believe, Jimmy, we can presume this handout is what we're going to talk about.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, members of the County Council. Actually, I handed you a copy of the motion that I'm going to make. I make the following motion: that the County Council direct the administrator to inquire as to and prepare for consideration an amendment to the Unified Code of Zoning and Land Development Regulations zoning ordinance for County Council to refer to the Planning Commission for official latter action by this County Council. The proposed amendment to unify the Code of Zoning and Land Development Regulations, which would provide for clear and simplified administrative review of and determinations as to the zoning ordinance, would also provide more flexibility as to the granting of variances from the zoning ordinance to prevent undue hardship on our citizens. Also would provide for a comprehensive review of the zoning ordinance and proposed adoption of a new, more citizen-friendly zoning ordinance. The administrator would propose a timeline to council for adoption, accomplishing these objectives by council at the next meeting. The timeline for adoption and proposed procedures would be in accordance with the state law, county ordinances, county rules, and required procedures. That is my motion.
Can we have a second?
Second.
Russell, any discussion? Jimmy, go ahead.
Yes, if I may, please. The zoning code was last looked at comprehensively by County Council in 2010. It is overly complicated and cumbersome. The zoning process and permitting is unduly complicated and way too bureaucratic. It is not user-friendly, needs more flexibility to be simple and reasonable. There are way too many complaints by citizens and way too many zoning and permit complaints as to planning and zoning process and permitting. Folks, something has to be done, and I intend to do something about it now. That's why I brought it before this County Council. I have heard complaint after complaint for years. I feel like we've dropped the ball on this by not comprehensively looking at the zoning code for almost 12 years and addressing citizen issues. And when I say we, means this County Council, staff, and Jimmy Jones and myself. We all dropped the ball. Two stages that I'm looking at here. First is clarify, simplify administrative review of the planning and zoning process or the zoning process, and provide more flexibility as to variances more citizen-friendly. And then the second would be, which would come later, adopt a new, more citizen-friendly, reasonable zoning code.
Can I ask a question, Jimmy?
You can.
I think we all agree, not presuming a vote, but that's the way I am. What is the timelines you're looking at, Jimmy? I mean, it's do now, do later stuff, you know?
Well, the motion would allow us to go ahead and immediately do something that would take maybe 3 months to accomplish this, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
But to go back and look at the entire process, you're looking at a year or two.
I agree.
No question about that. But what this does, Mr. Chairman, members of council, this gives us, and it gives the county administrator, it gives the planning and zoning employees a little bit of relief because we have set them up to fail with the codes, the ordinances they have on the books right now. Because they have to abide by that. And let me tell you something, it just makes no sense the way it goes.
Thank you, Jimmy. That looks like a very well thought out idea. Other comments? Who was the second, please?
I was the second.
Yeah, Russell, why don't you go ahead, sir?
So, yeah, I've experienced some of the frustrations from from citizens that are building homes. And these rules are in depth, and I don't know who wrote them. I think that's been some years ago. Mr. Conley is charged with following the rules and implementing the rules correctly. But I think when we handcuff ourselves to, I hate to say it so bluntly, but to so much bureaucracy that we can't make just good old-fashioned common sense decisions to help people. When I decided to run for this seat, I wanted to be able to help people. And by and large, I've been able to help people. We want to follow good, solid rules. We want to support our staff. That's not my job. But we've had issues that I think could have been avoided. And this inquiry into planning and zoning, I wanted to have positive outcomes, right? I'm not here to put anybody down. I'm not here to say someone's not doing something they should do. But I will say this, certain people have certain strengths and certain weaknesses. And Danny, it's up to you, and Vic's not here tonight, so I'll just have to place this on your shoulders. I apologize, but I'll direct this to you. We need to write policy, and we need to have dialogue that helps us correct policy that enables administration, department heads to help people. I get frustrated just because I have a helpful heart when we're not able to solve a problem easily. My phone has rang one too many times, and I'm with Mr. Jones on this completely. There's some things that need to change. There's some things that need to be improved upon, and I don't know exactly what those things are, but I charge you with that task, and I say that in the most polite manner I can. I'm here to solve problems. I'm here to help you solve problems if I can. I'm here to make things happen in a positive manner for the citizens of Kershaw County. And if we can do that together, you know, I think it's a win-win, right? I think we enable people by putting them in the correct position, using their strengths to grow in their jobs. So I look forward to seeing what the next 90 days brings, and if I can be a help, please allow me to help. Sometimes the biggest help is for me to get out of the way, so I'll now do that. Thank you so very much.
Other comments, Mr. Gardner?
Yeah, let me say,
I'm sorry,
I don't
Dan.
disagree with anything you said. I agree with everything. I think we need to look at it. We need to do that. But just to make a point is, in conversations with other council members from other counties, planning and zoning seems to be the one that gets the most complaints everywhere. So, you know, we're not alone in that simply because they probably deal with the public more than any other department we've got. You know, so because of you know, you're dealing with property and all this other stuff, you got to deal with them. So in their defense, they're not the only one, but we do need to address that, and I do agree with that. But I do want to say that is a problem in all 46 counties in South Carolina.
Sure is.
So, thank you. And
municipalities too. Ben, I went right by you, sir.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. DeBose, are we completely done on our codification project yet?
I need to check on that. Mary, where do we stand on it?
Okay, so just for
Can you
context,
talk into the microphone?
So for context and for folks watching, just like moving to full-time fire service took like multiple years of study and understanding the data and then making the moves to do it the right way, codification and improving the zoning ordinance has many steps as well. And one of them has been codification first to try and make the information as easily accessible online and more user-friendly so that you don't have to show up in person and look through a giant book to try to figure out what you can or can't do or how you would appeal something regarding your land. The second thing that we've done in moving in this direction, which I think it's great that we're talking about this tonight, Mr. Brazel and I were just talking about it recently. Didn't we have a vote recently that agreed on looking at the quality of construction in Kershaw County and trying to evaluate or direct staff in some way to tell us a little bit more about that in the zoning ordinance?
I think so, and that's news that, looking forward to hearing from,
Yeah, so I think we're going to be doing an update on that soon because we are concerned about quality of construction and not having just tract homes come in that's low-quality construction that won't last a long time and leads to results or bad results for Kershaw County citizens and issues down the road. And so it seems with that context appropriate to talk about, well, how do we update the zoning code? Pretty soon, we heard we're on the cusp of having the codification project done. Now, people are going to have access to all the information. Do we have the right information there? I have to say that prior to serving on county council, I actually appeared adverse to the county in multiple instances to help people with issues where there were inconsistencies or definitions that didn't make sense sometimes in planning and zoning. And I've seen a few instances where, people probably would have benefited by having counsel and may have been successful in their appeals or other issues that they had, but the definitions might be inconsistent or the wrong words there's a typo or something. And we've talked about that over the years, so it's something we need to look at. I agree with that.
Terrific. Other comments? Mr. Snodgrass.
Question, I guess for Mr. Jones, this is your motion. So in this wording, do you envision this, so this is a study, just a study, is that a simple way to explain it? A study of a department?
Well, as my motion said, this council will direct the administrator to inquire as to and prepare for consideration an amendment to the Unified Code of Zoning and Land Development Regulations and the zoning orders for council to refer to the Planning Commission for their official later action by county council. This proposed amendment, as I said here, it's about the Unified Code of Zoning and Land Development Regulations, and it's to simplify it. And I've also talked with the county administrator. He thinks temporarily, as a Band-Aid, this would give him some relief while we're working on the other part.
Right, so we're studying the department to see if there are some best practices that we're missing. Do you envision that this study would include like looking at staffing and seeing if that is an issue?
I suggest that we stick to my motion. As I said, the administrator.
I just want to have a conversation about it. Don't quit reading your paper. Let's just talk about it.
But you're asking questions.
Right.
And that's good, but I'm just trying to say, it says the motion
Well, I know what it says, but I'm just.
No, but I'm telling you, if you just listen for a second and be quiet, here's what I'm trying to tell you, is that the administrator, we're going to give him the authority, and we're requiring him to go to the planning and zoning and then to come back to us in 2 weeks. Give him a timeline so that we're not stuck wondering when or something going to come back to us that council asks somebody to do. I want to make sure we have a timeline in here and that they get back with us in 2 weeks. So what I would suggest is that we move this forward.
Mm-hmm.
We let the administrator do his job and come back with us. And it'll give some oversight and some review on some of these decisions that were made. I don't want to get into the weeds. I could name quite a few instances where the zoning regulations was absolutely out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And I can name businesses that it's affected. I can name residences that it's affected, but I don't want to get into the weeds.
Yeah,
So,
I could too. I'm not against it. I just want to have a conversation beyond the paper and just try to get an idea of just an overall context of what we're looking at. I mean, because I think to some degree the department is probably overwhelmed. We're a growing county, and
we've set them up to fail with this piece the ordinances we have now. We've set the planning and zoning up to fail. We haven't looked at it, David. We haven't even looked at it for 12 years, and that's my fault as well too.
Right.
So that's what we're doing now. We're looking at it. We're directing the administrator to go and bring.
Well, I just.
So what's your point here? We want to, I think the motion is what it is.
This is a public meeting. I'm just having a conversation about.
I just want to get.
I think you just love to talk.
He has the floor. Ms. Snodgrass, go ahead, please.
No, I mean, I think to a degree, I agree with you. I was just trying to get understanding of kind of what the end goal is here. And if the end goal is to help the citizens navigate that, do a study and help them navigate the system, and if there are any hangups in the system that or any lids on the system that we need to discover, then I think that's a good thing.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, may I?
And I would add, Jimmy, I would add that we probably need to look at like even the commercial side of things, because maybe there's lids in our process that put lids on commercial growth, because I know there are obstacles as well.
Yeah.
So, I'm in favor of this. I just trying to have a conversation about it. I get calls about planning and zoning too, but I do want to just stop and recognize, I get calls about planning and zoning, and I will say every time I've had to contact Mike or his staff, they have been more than willing to help me out, to help my constituents out, and just want to let you know I appreciate that. But yeah, I think we can take a look at this.
Okay, Jimmy, you
If I
want to join him?
can, what I said in the motion, and it stands as written, and I gave you a copy of it in advance, is to prevent undue hardship on citizens. And what we have in place now does cause a hardship on citizens. We've had somebody look at it and say, my gosh, this is one of the most complicated piece of works they've ever seen. I know that a member of this county council spoke to somebody in Charlotte and said, boy, if Charlotte handled their zoning the way we handle it in Kershaw County, they'd never get anything done. And I tell you what, I appreciate and I really respect Mr. Brazel for bringing this up and getting this back on the table. He's let me take the lead on it for the simple fact that I've been on it. I've been talking about this for a much longer period of time than he has, because I think he's in first year of county council. But Mr. Brazel, I do appreciate that. But the administrator would propose a timeline, David, to council for adoption of accomplishing these objectives by council at the next meeting. So let's push this forward. Let's let the county administrator do his job and come back.
You have a comment? Mr. Brazel, please.
No, I don't want to really get in between the debate here. But I think, David, what I see and what I hear from Mr. Jones and what I hear from you is, how do we solve the problem almost? And I'm bad about wanting to solve the problem, right? That's just in me, and I think it's probably in you too. How do we fix this? And I think what I hear from Mr. Jones is, that's not our job. It's our job to direct administrators. We want to place an inquiry. We want to let them do their job. Then bring us a plan of action. Once we hear their plan of action, then we can support that plan of action. My goal, and you're right, when my phone rings, we usually sit down and have good conversations. But I've had to have too many conversations. My goal would be for that department to handle its own business and my phone stop ringing as much.
Right.
For them to come up with solutions to problems, good common sense solutions. I've had a few instances lately that were very frustrating for me personally, and because I wanted to help the situation, but sometimes the law restricted that. So this motion is going to give our administration a little more latitude in the ways that they can help legally. And I think at this point, we just need to stand back and let them do their job.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brazel. We had a conversation, and it was able to give context to an amendment. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
I'm ready to call the question if you are, Jimmy.
I got a question.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
got a comment. The motion had context, Mr. Snodgrass.
I wanted more context.
You got it.
Thank you.
The same thing I said
This
to
is
you
a public
3 times.
meeting. I think we're allowed to have, I'm not
Okay,
mad.
fellas.
Just, we're here to have a conversation to make sure we're thorough.
I understand.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. I'm ready to call the question. Thank you very much, Mr. Jones.
You're
and
quite
Mr.
welcome,
Brazel.
Mr. Chairman.
With that, I'm ready to call the question. All those in favor, so signify. And it's unanimous, and Mary, kindly pass on this little homework for Mr. Carpenter. And with that, we are now at the end, and we're ready to move into council briefs, starting with Mr. Jones.
Mr. Chairman, members of the county council, I think all of us in here got an anonymous letter from somebody within the,
911.
yeah, well, I was going to, a little reluctant to even mention the department. When someone writes an anonymous letter, I have problems with that. And I also have problems, whoever wrote the anonymous letter, I want to say this to you. You talk about a supervisor in an anonymous letter. If there's something wrong with the supervisor, you should be woman or man enough to stand up and come to the deputy administrator. We have a fair staff. Danny Templer will absolutely look at both sides. Nobody's job is going to be in jeopardy if they've got some issues going on and they go above their supervisor. But to do an anonymous letter and knock a department head bothers me because I have been a department head. That's no way to do business. So therefore, on the anonymous letter, I will give no consideration. However, I will say this. We do need to take care of our 911 operators. They are overworked. They are understaffed. And we definitely need to be thinking about them in the upcoming year. And I also would like to say thank you to my colleagues for the support of the planning and zoning motion that I made. It's time for something to be done. As I said, it's been 12 years since we've even looked at it. And of course, I put myself in that as well. I'm to blame as well. But thank you for your support on that and the conversation as well. And Mr. Chairman, having said that, I have no further comments.
Mr. Snodgrass.
Mr. Chair, members of council, I will try to keep this brief because this is certainly not the end, but you may or may not have heard. But I've got some ministry and professional transitions that are coming in the future for me and for my family. And so I've let everyone aware that I will not be seeking re-election in this 2022 election cycle. Again, this is not the end, so I'm not here to dwell on this or say goodbyes because we still have a lot of work to do to move this county forward, to build upon the great work that we have done together as a team. And it's been a great honor to be able to be a part of this. And a lot of respect for each and every one of you behind this desk and for county staff as well. This county, the citizens of this county may or may not know, but there are some incredible men and women who work for this county. A lot of times we just see them as bureaucrats, or we see them as just staff, or we just see them as nameless people. But they are dedicated employees who get up every morning, whether it's in solid waste, whether it's in economic development, whether it's in our public safety. They get up every morning and are dedicated to this county. And I just want to say it's been an honor to have the opportunity to get to know this side of the county. So just wanted to share that with you. Again, no goodbyes because we still have a lot of work to do, but just wanted to give you guys, make you aware of some things that are coming ahead for my family and myself. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couple of few things. Let me say, I know Councilman Snodgrass, this is not your farewell speech, but it's definitely some news that I was not looking forward to hearing, but I'm happy for you and your family and wish you well as you move on to bigger and better endeavors in your life. And you're a young man, and you need to attack those now, because one day, as I said, to my left, you'll be like these folks to my left. But I just want to say that I'm looking forward to getting all the squeeze and the juice out of you between now and the budget year.
There's a lot left.
Yes.
We're ready to work.
Miss Mary, can you do me a dear favor and a copy of that proclamation? Can you make sure that we get it to the Camden Kershaw County branch of the NAACP, please, ma'am? Yes. Thank you. I just want to send my condolences to the Carpenter family. My prayers and my love is with Vic and his family as they go through this tragic time of laying a loved one to rest. And I hope that all of you who are listening and who are here have the same prayers and love. I also want to inform you that as of January the 31st, which will be next Monday, we will be, and I say we, I'm talking about the Santee Lynch's Regional Council of Government, where I'm first vice chair there on the COG. We'll be in the process of formulating procedures to look for a new director of the COG. Very unfortunate. But that's all I'm going to elaborate now. So we will be in the process of doing that so we can get ourselves settled back in and continue to do good work in the region. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gardner.
No report.
Mr. Brazel.
I'd also like to offer my condolences to Mr. Carpenter's family regarding the loss of his brother. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. David, regarding you and moving up and moving on to the upstate, it's been a good year or a little more that I've gotten to know you and really enjoyed getting to know you. Look forward to finishing the year with you, and we won't say goodbye, but best wishes, and I know you'll do well in the upstate.
Ben.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. David, I love you. It's been great working with you, and we've got a lot more work to do before you take off. And with that said, you know, you'll have to forgive me if my heart gets a little tender thinking about Vic and his brother, but I love all you guys here on council. I'm the oldest of 6. I've got many brothers, and I can't imagine the pain or loss that that Vic, our beloved administrator, is feeling. This has just been sticking with me recently, but someone told me that grief is the love that you didn't get to express yet. And maybe you've heard that saying before. I've only heard it within the last month or so, but that hit me really hard. And we know that Vic loves his brother and misses him. But as I understand it, he's not suffering anymore. I wanted to thank the folks who stayed to the end of the meeting. I try to remember to do that sometimes. Usually it's just the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, if they're getting their citizenship in the community or nation badge, that stay to the end of meetings. But it's so good to have visitors that stay through and see the political process in the form of these public meetings to the end. So I appreciate y'all being here, and thank you very much for that. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
All right, and I'll close it out. First of all, David, thank you. I like the word you use, we, because that's where it is. It's a team effort, but when the Lord calls, here I am, send me. And I appreciate your example in words and deeds. Thank you very much. I remind you all, we have a retreat on the 5th of February. That's the next time we meet. There will be no supper beforehand on Friday. It'll just be on Saturday, correct? And the details will be out. Next council meeting is on the 8th after that. I would like for you all to remember our first responders, the men and women up in those buckets, and the 911, and all the team that got us through 2 successive snow and ice storms. Well done. I want to give a shout out right now to a group that's watching us, high school students from CMA, Lugoff, Elgin, Camden, and North Central. Hello. They've all been required to watch us tonight, they have been, and they're going to be here tomorrow. And Mr. Snodgrass and I will give them a class on why counties matter. And then they're going to sit up here and try to run this place. I don't know who's going to be Mary tomorrow. I don't know who's going to be Mr. DeBose, but there will be a class in here at 1300, 1 o'clock, you guys. And Mr. Snodgrass, thanks for giving up on your time on that. Danny, thanks for doing it. You're orchestrating the whole thing. Also, I would remind you tonight is Robert Burns' birthday, the famous bard of Scotland. I'm going home to one of the most awful meals you've ever had in your life, not because my wife cooked it, but because it's haggis. And lastly, again, thank you, gentlemen, for your sympathy and condolences for Vic. I learned more about you in these trials than you would know, and I appreciate each and every one of you for what you said. How good an organization is often judged by how it performs when it's under stress. And in the Army, we take a lot of effort to train for that, and you lose people. And how good that organization is shown by how well it performs in the absence of Mr. Carpenter. Danny, thanks for leading the team so well. Amen. Appreciate it. With that, Danny, the words go to you, please.
I just would like to first also say and send my condolences out to Vic and his family. Mary, Vic, and I are very tight. This is my work family. That's my work mom, and Vic Vic has been a mentor to me, and I knew his brother, and he was an incredible individual.
Good man.
So I'm very sorry to hear this news, but so I just wanted Vic to know that. Also, on the 911 issue, I can't let that rest. That letter came to me as well, just given my law enforcement background and my association with dispatch. Some of those dispatchers who are still there now dispatch me as a rookie, so I have a vested interest in that organization. I say they are never seen but always heard.
Amen.
So that is on my front burner and has been, and it will be in this budget process coming up. So
thank you, sir.
And that is my report.
Mr. DeBose.
Mr. Chairman and Council, I have nothing.
You've done enough damage tonight. And with that, I take a motion to adjourn. Who was that? Was that you, Mr. Tucker, by any
Fast
chance?
man.
Second from Mr. Snodgrass. Any discussion? Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Let's go to a vote. All those in favor? And it's unanimous, Mary. Thank you.